The massive space station floated in the darkness between stars, its metal surface reflecting the light of two distant suns. Inside, delegates from 47 different species gathered in the grand hall, their voices creating a symphony of strange sounds. Some clicked, others hummed, and a few spoke in frequencies that human ears could barely detect. Han Jiwoo stood near the back of the hall, adjusting his formal jacket for the third time. He was young for a diplomat, only 32, and this was his first major assignment off Earth. His mentor, Ambassador Kwon Daeon, had warned him that the Galactic Council Summit would be overwhelming. Daeon was right. Jiwoo watched as creatures of every imaginable shape moved through the crowd. Some walked on legs, others floated, and one species seemed to roll across the polished floor. The purpose of the summit was simple in theory, but complex in practice. Trade agreements needed renewal. Territory disputes required mediation. Cultural exchanges had to be negotiated. For 5 days, the representatives would talk, argue, and hopefully reach agreements that would keep peace in this sector of space. Jiwoo's assignment was straightforward. Watch, learn, and don't embarrass Earth. Daeon would handle the actual negotiations. Jiwoo was there to observe and take notes. It should have been easy, but nothing felt easy when you were surrounded by beings who could accidentally kill you just by breathing the wrong chemicals in your direction. A bell-like sound echoed through the hall. The opening ceremony was about to begin. Jiwoo found his assigned seat in the human section, pulling out his datapad to record observations. The lights dimmed. A holographic display appeared above the center of the room. The ceremony began with each species presenting a symbol of their culture. The Keltorians, massive beings covered in stone-like armor, showed a sculpture that sang when touched. The Whisper Collective, beings made of what looked like living smoke, created patterns in the air that told stories without words. Species after species displayed their achievements, their art, their uniqueness. Then came the Viridians. Jiwoo had read about them in his briefing materials, but reading did not prepare him for seeing them in person. They looked almost human in shape, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and faces that held recognizable features. But their skin was different. It was translucent, like colored glass, and it glowed with soft internal light. The delegation moved as one group, their skin all showing the same pale blue color, almost all of them at the back of the Viridian. Group stood a figure whose skin flickered and changed. Blues shifted to purples, then to soft greens, and back again. The colors moved across her skin like clouds across a sky, while the others maintained their solid uniform appearance. This one seemed unable to control her display. Jiwoo leaned forward, fascinated. In his briefing, he had learned that Viridians could change their skin color voluntarily, using it as a form of communication, more precise than words. But this individual's colors seemed to move on their own, responding to something internal rather than intentional display. The Viridian presentation ended. The figure with the changing colors moved to leave with her delegation. But Jiwoo noticed how the others created distance around her. It was subtle, but clear. They did not walk close to her. They did not acknowledge her presence. She was with them, but somehow separate from them. The ceremony continued for another hour. More species presented their cultures, each trying to display strength and sophistication. Jiwoo took notes, but his attention kept drifting back to the Viridian with the uncontrolled colors. She had moved to a corner of the hall where the crowd was thinner. Her skin now showed deep purples mixed with grays. Even without understanding the Viridian color language, Jiwoo recognized the emotion: sadness, isolation. When the ceremony finally ended, the delegates began to mingle. This was the unofficial but important part of diplomacy. Connections made over casual conversation often mattered more than formal negotiations. Daeon immediately moved into the crowd, beginning the delicate work of relationship building. Jiwoo was expected to do the same, but his feet carried him in a different direction. He approached the Viridian woman carefully, aware that he might be violating some protocol he did not understand. She stood alone, watching the crowd with an expression that seemed sad even before considering her color display. "Excuse me," Jiwoo said in Galactic Common, the trade language most species understood. I hope I'm not intruding. She turned to look at him, and her colors immediately shifted. Surprise flashed across her skin in bursts of yellow. Then came something that might have been fear, shown in quick pulses of orange. Her eyes, which were larger than human eyes and completely black, studied him with confusion. "You are human," she said. Her voice was soft, musical, in a way that human voices were not. "I am. My name is Hanjuwu. I'm with the Earth delegation." The colors on her skin shifted again, moving through a sequence too fast for Juwu to track. She seemed to be struggling with some internal debate. Finally, she spoke again. "I am Nala, of House Viridian." She paused, then added, "You should not be speaking with me. Why not?" The question seemed to surprise her. The yellow flashes returned to her skin, mixed now with colors Giwu could not identify. "Because I am defective. My emotions show on my skin without my control. In my culture, this is a great shame. Others avoid me because association with me brings dishonor to them." Jiwu considered this. On Earth, humans spent enormous effort trying to understand what others felt. Entire fields of study focused on reading facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice. The idea that showing emotions clearly could be considered a defect seemed backwards to him. "On Earth," he said carefully, "we consider it valuable when people show their true feelings. We think honesty about emotions is a strength, not a weakness." Nala's skin rippled with colors that moved from her core outward, like waves on water. "That is a strange belief," maybe Jiwu agreed. "But it's ours. Can I ask you something? What do the colors mean?" For the next 20 minutes, Nala explained the Viridian color language. Blues meant calm or sadness. Reds showed anger or passion. Greens indicated curiosity or growth. Yellows flashed with surprise or fear. But it was not simple. The intensity of the color mattered, as did how fast it moved and where on the body it appeared. Combinations created meanings that had no equivalent in spoken language as she spoke. Jiwu watched her colors shift and change. He began to see patterns. When she talked about her homeworld, soft greens mixed with gentle blues. When she mentioned her family, the colors darkened and slowed. She was telling him two stories at once, one with words and one with her skin. And unlike her words, which were careful and formal, her colors told the truth without filter. "This is beautiful," Jiwu said when she finished. "I don't understand why your people consider it a defect." Nala's skin bloomed with a color Jiwu had not seen before, something between pink and gold. It spread across her face and down her arms, glowing softly in the dim light of the hall corner. "What does that color mean?" he asked. She looked at her own arms, seeming surprised by the display. "It means hope. I have not shown this color in a very long time." Before Jiwu could respond, a tall Viridian man approached them. His skin was a solid dark blue, not a flicker of variation visible. He spoke to Nala in their own language, his tone sharp. Nala's colors immediately shifted to muted grays. "I must go," she said to Jiwu. "Thank you for speaking with me." It was unexpected. She left with the man, who cast a disapproving glance at Jiwu. As they walked away, Jiwu saw other Viridians watching. Their solid, controlled colors seemed to pulse with what might have been anger or disgust. He had clearly violated some social rule, though he was not sure which one. Daeon appeared at his side a moment later. "What were you doing?" "Just talking," Jiwu said. "That was Princess Nala, third daughter of the Viridian Empress. She's considered unmarriageable in their culture because of her condition." Daeon shook his head. "The Viridians are one of the most powerful empires in this sector. We need their goodwill. Stay away from their embarrassments." Giwu nodded, but his eyes followed Nala as she disappeared into the crowd. Her skin was still showing those muted grays, the colors of someone who had forgotten what hope felt like. He thought about the brief moment when pink and gold had bloomed across her skin, and he wondered what it would take to make that color return. The explosion came without warning on the third day of the summit. Jiwu was in the East Wing conference room reviewing trade documents that made his eyes hurt with their complexity. The blast threw him from his chair. Alarms screamed. Emergency lights flashed red. through the ringing in his ears. He heard screams in a dozen different languages. Smoke filled the corridor as Jiwoo stumbled out of the conference room. Other delegates ran past him, heading toward the evacuation points. A voice on the intercom system spoke in Galactic Common, repeating the same message over and over. Terrorist attack. All delegates proceed to emergency shuttles. This was not a drill. Jiwoo joined the flow of beings moving toward safety. His training kicked in. Stay calm. Follow the evacuation route. Don't panic. He was almost to the shuttle bay when he heard it. A voice calling for help, weak and muffled by debris. He stopped. Others pushed past him, too focused on their own survival to notice. Jiwoo turned back, following the sound. In a collapsed section of corridor, he found her. Princess Nala was trapped under a fallen support beam. Her skin flashed with bright reds and oranges, colors of pain and fear. Help is coming, Jiwoo said, kneeling beside her. The emergency teams will be here soon. No, Nala gasped. Her colors pulsed rapidly. They are evacuating everyone. They will not search until they are sure the station is secure. I heard the announcement. That could be ours. She was right. Jiwoo had heard the same protocols. Search and rescue would only begin after the immediate threat was neutralized. He looked at the beam pinning her legs. It was heavy, made of some dense metal alloy. He probably could not lift it alone. I'm not leaving you, he said. Must. You will die if you stay. Maybe, but I'm not going. Jiwoo examined the beam more carefully. It had fallen at an angle, propped up by debris on one side. If he could lever it just a few inches, Nala might be able to pull herself free. He found a length of broken pipe and wedged it under the beam. Shh. When I lift, you pull yourself out, fast as you can. Nala's skin showed colors Jiwoo could not identify, but her eyes met his with understanding. He counted to 3, then threw all his weight onto the makeshift lever. The beam shifted. Nala cried out, but pulled herself forward, scraping through the narrow gap. The pipe bent under the strain, then snapped. The beam crashed down exactly where Nala had been seconds before. They lay on the floor, both breathing hard. Nala's legs were badly bruised, but not broken. She could walk with support. Jiwoo helped her up, and together they made their way to the evacuation point. The last shuttle was preparing to depart. They collapsed into seats just as the doors sealed. Later, Jiwoo would learn that security cameras had captured everything. The footage spread across the galactic network within hours. A human diplomat risking his life to save an alien princess. The narrative practically wrote itself. News services called him a hero. Earth's government praised his courage. And the Viridian Empress sent a formal invitation for the Earth. Delegation to visit the Viridian homeworld as honored guests. Daeon was thrilled. Do you understand what this means? The Viridians have been distant with Earth for decades. This could open doors that have been closed since first contact. Jiwoo was less excited. He had not saved Nala for political gain. He had done it because leaving someone to die was not something he could live with. But he nodded and accepted the congratulations. Knowing that intention mattered less than outcome in the world of diplomacy, the Viridian homeworld was beautiful in a way that made Earth seem plain by comparison. The cities were built from crystal that grew naturally from the ground, shaped by Viridian technology into towers that caught the light and transformed it into rainbows. The delegation was housed in the royal palace, structure so large it had its own weather system. On the second day of their visit, Jiwoo was summoned to the throne room. Daeon came with him, coaching him on protocol as they walked. Let me do the talking. Just bow when I bow, and don't make eye contact with the Empress unless she addresses you directly. The throne room was more beautiful than anything Jiwoo had ever seen. The walls, floor, and ceiling were all made of the same crystal as the buildings outside. But here it had been shaped into intricate patterns that seemed to move when you were not looking directly at them. The Empress sat on a throne that appeared to be carved from a single massive gem. Her skin showed a pale blue, so light it was almost white, and unlike her daughter, not a single color variation disturbed its surface. Nala stood to one side of the throne, her skin carefully controlled to match her mother's color. but Jiwoo could see tiny flickers at the edges. Small rebellions of pink and green that she quickly suppressed. Daeun bowed deeply, and Jiwoo copied him. The Empress spoke, her voice carrying easily through the vast room, despite not being particularly loud. Ambassador Kwon Daeun of Earth and Han Guo, who saved my daughter's life. You are welcome in my house. Your Majesty honors us, Daeun replied smoothly. We are grateful for your invitation and the opportunity to strengthen the bonds between our peoples. The Empress inclined her head slightly. My daughter lives because of your junior diplomat's courage. Such actions must be recognized. In Viridian culture, a life debt is sacred. It must be repaid, Your Majesty. No payment is necessary, Daeun began, but the Empress raised one hand and he fell silent. The debt will be repaid, she said firmly. I have decided that Han Juwu will be granted the honor of participating in the selection. Daeun's confusion was obvious even to Juwu, who knew his mentor well. The selection, Your Majesty? A tradition among my people. When a worthy individual performs a great service to the royal house, they may be offered the chance to select a member of the royal family as a life partner. The bond created is unbreakable and binds not just the individuals but their entire peoples in alliance. Giwoo's heart began to beat faster. He looked at Nala, whose skin had lost all color, fading to something almost transparent. Her eyes were wide. This is a tremendous honor, Daeun said carefully. Giwoo could practically hear his mentor's mind racing through the political implications. Might we be given time to consider? Time will be given, the Empress agreed. 3 days. Then, if Hanjuwu wishes to accept this honor, a ceremony will be held. He may select any unmarried member of the royal family who is of age. Her eyes moved to her daughter briefly, then away. Any member at all. That evening, Daeun paced their guest quarters like a trapped animal. This is incredible. An alliance marriage with the Viridian royal family? Earth has been trying to establish closer ties with them for 50 years. She has 2 other daughters, Jiwoo said quietly. And a son? Yes, I've been researching. Daeun pulled up files on his datapad. Princess Hannah is the eldest. She's been groomed for political marriages since birth. Very accomplished. Very powerful. Princess Isil is the middle daughter, a military commander. Either would be an exceptional choice. The Empress did say, any unmarried member. She included Princess Nala in that statement. But obviously she doesn't expect you to choose her. Why obviously? Daeun looked at Jiwoo as if he had asked why water was wet. Because she's considered defective. Unmarriageable. Choosing her would be seen as an insult to the Viridian royal house. You might as well spit on the alliance before it begins. What if I want to choose her? The silence that followed was heavy. Daeun set down his datapad slowly. Giwoo, I know you had a nice conversation with her at the summit. I know you saved her life. But this is bigger than personal feelings. This is about Earth's future in the galactic community. Don't be foolish. You think it's foolish to choose someone I actually connected with? I think it's foolish to throw away a political opportunity because of a 20-minute conversation. Daeun's voice softened. Look, I understand. She seems nice. But nice doesn't create alliances. Power does. Influence does. Choose Princess Hannah or Princess Isil. Either would be a victory for Earth. Giwoo did not sleep that night. He walked the palace gardens, which were open to guests even in the dark hours. The crystal plants glowed softly, providing their own light. He thought about what Daeun had said. His mentor was not wrong. From a political standpoint, choosing Nala made no sense. But Jiwoo kept remembering that moment in the summit hall when Nala's skin had bloomed with pink and gold. Hope. She had not felt hope in a long time. And his simple act of treating her as a person worth talking to had brought it back. He thought about how she had explained her people's color language with such care, sharing something beautiful that her own culture considered shameful. He thought about her trapped under debris, telling him to save himself. On the 3rd day, the ceremony was held. The throne room was filled with Viridian nobles, their skin all showing carefully controlled colors. The Earth delegation stood together, Daeun's expression neutral but his eyes worried. Nala and her siblings stood near the throne, arranged by age. Princess Hannah stood tall and proud, her skin showing confident purples. Princess Isiel's colors were the deep reds of a warrior. Prince Minho, the youngest, showed calm blues, and Nala, at the end of the line, showed muted grays that spoke of resignation. The Empress addressed the assembly. Han Juwu of Earth has been granted the honor of selection in recognition of his service to House Viridian. Let him now choose. Al walked forward. He felt every eye in the room on him. He could sense Dayan's silent prayer that he would make the smart choice. He saw the expectation on Princess Hannah's face, the readiness on Princess Isiel's. He saw Nala's colors dim further, as if she was trying to disappear entirely. He stopped in front of Nala and extended his hand. Princess Nala of House Viridian, I choose you as my life partner. The silence was absolute. Nala stared at him, her skin cycling through colors so fast it hurt to watch. Shock, confusion, disbelief, and then something else. That pink and gold again, but brighter this time, spreading across her entire body like sunrise. Are you certain? The Empress asked, her voice sharp. You may choose any member of my family. I'm certain, Jiwoo said, keeping his eyes on Nala. I choose her. The announcement of Jiwoo's choice sent waves through Viridian society. In the hours after the ceremony, Jiwoo was moved to different quarters in the palace, rooms that connected to Nala's through a shared garden. This was tradition, he was told. Partners undergoing the trials of unity needed to be close, but not yet together. They would earn their unity through the trials. Nala avoided him for the first 2 days. Jiwoo would see her in the garden, standing among the crystal flowers, her skin showing colors that shifted between confusion and fear. Whenever he approached, she would retreat to her rooms. On the 3rd day, he found her sitting by the central fountain, and this time she did not run. Why did you choose me? She asked without greeting. Her colors were muted, carefully controlled. Only small flickers at her fingertips betrayed her emotions. Guwei sat down on the fountain's edge, keeping a respectful distance. Because when I talked to you at the summit, you were the only person who felt real. Everyone else was playing a role, showing only what they wanted others to see. You couldn't hide, and I found that beautiful. Beautiful. The word seemed foreign to her. My people have another word for it. Defective, broken, shameful. Your people are wrong. The bluntness of his statement made her colors flash with surprise. You cannot simply dismiss an entire culture's values. I'm not dismissing your culture. I'm disagreeing with one specific value. Humans do this all the time. We argue with our own cultures, change them, make them better. It's how we grow. Nala was quiet for a long moment. Her colors settled into soft blues mixed with pale greens. The trials begin tomorrow. They are designed to test compatibility between partners. Most couples take months to prepare. We have known each other for less than a week. Then we'll probably fail, Giwoo said simply. But we'll fail honestly. Despite everything, Nala's skin flashed with something that might have been amusement. You are very strange, Hangwu of Earth. The first trial was called the Trial of Truth. Jiwoo and Nala were brought to a small chamber deep in the palace. A Viridian elder explained the rules. They would each drink a liquid that made lying physically impossible. Then they would answer questions posed by a neutral judge. The trial tested whether partners could bear to know each other's complete truth. The liquid tasted like copper and flowers. Giwoo felt it spread through his body, a warm sensation that settled in his chest. Across from him, Nala's skin began to glow more brightly, as if the truth serum enhanced her natural color displays. The judge, an ancient Viridian whose skin showed the pale colors of great age, asked the first question. Hanjiwoo, why did you truly choose Princess Nala? The answer came out of Jiwoo's mouth before he could think about it. Because she felt like someone I could love. Not might love, not could learn to love, but someone I already wanted to try loving just from one conversation. Because the idea of choosing someone more politically useful but less genuine made me feel sick. Because I'm tired of pretending that practical choices are always the right choices. Nala's colors exploded across her skin. Shock, fear, and something warm that Jiwoo was learning to recognize. Hope, maybe mixed with the beginning of affection. The judge turned to Nala. "Princess Nala, do you believe his words?" "Yes," Nala whispered. Her colors showed only honesty, no deception anywhere in her display. "I do not understand them, but I believe them." More questions followed. The judge asked about their fears, their intentions, their doubts. Jiwoo admitted that he was terrified of failing the trials and humiliating both their peoples. Nala admitted that she had spent her whole life believing she was unworthy of love, and Jiwoo's choice had shattered everything she thought she knew about herself. When the trial ended, they were both exhausted, but they had passed. The judge declared that truth existed between them. Even if understanding did not yet, the second trial, the trial of harmony, took place in a room filled with musical instruments from both their worlds. The challenge was to create something beautiful together, despite coming from completely different musical traditions. Viridians perceive sound differently than humans. What was harmony to one species could be discord to another. They spent hours experimenting. Jiwoo tried playing a simple melody on a human guitar, while Nala worked with a crystalline instrument that produced tones through light refraction. Everything they created sounded wrong. Either it pleased Jiwoo and hurt Nala's ears, or it satisfied her and sounded chaotic to him. "This is impossible," Nala said finally, her skin showing frustrated reds. "We cannot find harmony when we do not even hear the same sounds." Jiwoo set down the guitar. "Then maybe we're thinking about this wrong. Maybe harmony isn't about hearing the same thing. Maybe it's about creating something that works for both of us, even if we experience it differently." They started again, but this time they focused on rhythm rather than melody. Rhythm was something they could both perceive in the same way. Jiwoo played a steady beat. Nala added her crystalline tones, not trying to match his melody, but creating her own pattern that wove through his rhythm. The result was strange. It was not beautiful in any conventional sense, but it was unified. It was proof that two different beings could create something together without either abandoning what made them unique. The judges ruled it acceptable, barely, but acceptable was enough to pass. The third trial was the trial of sacrifice. Each partner had to give up something precious to them, demonstrating their willingness to change for the union. The sacrifice had to be real, had to cost something meaningful. Jiwoo went first. He knelt before the Empress in the assembled court. "I sacrifice my right to return to Earth for 5 years. I will stay on this world, learning Viridian ways, becoming part of this culture. I give up my home to make a new home here." The declaration shocked the Earth delegation. Daeon's face went pale. 5 years away from Earth meant 5 years out of the political loop, 5 years where his career would stagnate. But Jiwoo had thought carefully. If he wanted to truly be Nala's partner, he needed to understand her world. That required time and commitment. Nala stood next. Her colors were cycling rapidly, betraying her anxiety. "I sacrifice my title as princess. From this day forward, I am simply Nala of House Viridian. I give up my claim to royal privilege and position. I will be recognized only as Han Jiwoo's partner, not as a member of the ruling family." The court erupted in whispers. The Empress's face remained impassive, but her skin showed the faintest flicker of surprise. It was a devastating sacrifice. Without her title, Nala lost what little protection and respect her position had provided. She was making herself completely vulnerable. The trial judges conferred briefly, then declared both sacrifices acceptable. The trial of sacrifice was passed. The fourth trial, the trial of darkness, was simple in concept, but brutal in execution. Jiwoo and Nala were placed in separate chambers that blocked all sensory input. No light, no sound, no touch, no scent. They were left in complete sensory deprivation for 6 hours. During that time, they had to find a way to communicate with each other and coordinate an answer to a question they would only hear once. Jiwoo had never experienced darkness like this. It was absolute. Within minutes, he lost all sense of where he was. His mind began to play tricks on him, creating sounds and lights that were not there. He forced himself to focus, to think about Nala, to imagine what she might be experiencing. At the 3-hour mark, voice spoke directly into his mind through some technology he did not understand. What is the foundation of your unity? Jiwoo thought desperately. He and Nala had to give the same answer, or similar enough answers that the judges would accept them. But they had no way to communicate. He could not see her colors. She could not hear his voice. They had to rely on what they had learned about each other in just a few short days. He thought about their conversations, about the trial of truth, about everything they had shared. And he realized there was one theme that ran through all of it. One thing that had brought them together and kept them together despite all the reasons they should not work. When the 6 hours finally ended and Jiwoo was released from the chamber, he was shaking. Nala emerged from her chamber looking equally shaken, her skin pale and flickering with colors of distress. They were brought before the judges. Hanjiwoo, what is the foundation of your unity? Honesty, Giwoo said. We're unified by the willingness to be completely honest with each other, even when it's difficult. Princess Nala, what is the foundation of your unity? Nala's colors steadied as she answered. Truth. We see each other truly, without pretense or deception. The judges declared the answers close enough. The trial of darkness was passed. Over the next weeks, they completed 3 more trials. The trial of growth tested their ability to teach each other something meaningful. Jiwoo taught Nala about human literature, sharing stories that moved him. Nala taught Jiwoo the deeper meanings of her color language, showing him nuances he had never noticed. The trial of strength required them to protect each other from a simulated danger. They faced holographic scenarios that adapted to their choices, forcing them to trust each other completely. The trial of joy asked them to find something that made both of them happy simultaneously. This proved harder than combat. Their cultures defined joy so differently. But eventually they discovered that both of them found joy in learning, in discovering new things about the universe. They spent a day in the royal archives, sharing knowledge, and the judges ruled it sufficient. 6 trials completed. 1 remained. The trial of forever, which would take place before the entire Viridian court and would be broadcast across the galaxy. It was the trial where they would either succeed completely or fail publicly. On the night before the final trial, Shfu found Nala in their shared garden. She was standing among the crystal flowers, her skin showing colors he had learned to read. Soft pinks of affection, gentle golds of hope, deep blues of contentment, and underneath it all, flickers of fear. Are you afraid of tomorrow? He asked, terrified, she admitted. Her colors did not lie. Everything we have done has been private, witnessed by judges and officials. Tomorrow, the entire galaxy will watch. If we fail, we do not fail quietly. Then we won't fail. Nala turned to look at him. In the 6 weeks since his choice, something had changed between them. What had started as a strange connection had deepened into genuine partnership. They had learned each other's languages, both spoken and unspoken. They had found rhythms that worked for them. They had become something more than 2 individuals. I think I am beginning to love you, Nala said softly. Her skin bloomed with colors Jiwoo had never seen before, complex combinations that spoke of emotions too deep for simple names. That terrifies me even more than the trial. Jiwoo reached out and took her hand. Her skin was warm under his touch, and he felt it pulse with color at the contact. Then we'll be terrified together. And tomorrow, we'll show everyone exactly why we chose this. The day before the final trial, everything fell apart. Gilwoo was reviewing his speech for the trial of forever when Daeyoon burst into his quarters, his face red with anger and something that looked like shame. We need to talk now, privately. They went to a secure room that the Earth delegation used for sensitive discussions. Daeyoon activated a privacy field that would prevent any surveillance, then pulled up files on his datapad. His hand shook slightly as he handed it to Jiwoo. This was sent to the Empress 3 hours ago. Anonymous source. But it has supporting documentation that looks real. Gu read through the files, his stomach sinking with each line. Financial records showing large transfers from Earth corporations to his personal accounts. communications that appeared to be between him and business leaders, discussing trade deals that would follow his marriage to Nala, detailed plans to use the Viridian Alliance to give Earth companies exclusive access to Viridian technology and resources. It was all fake. Jiwoo had never received those payments, never had those conversations. But the fabrication was excellent. If he had not known for certain it was false, he might have believed it himself. "This is not real," Giwoo said. "I know," Daeyeon replied. "At least I want to believe I know. But Jiwoo, it does not matter if it's real. What matters is that the Empress has this now. She's questioning your motives. She's questioning Earth's motives. The entire marriage alliance is at risk. Who would do this? Someone who wants to stop the alliance. Could be political rivals on Earth who see the Viridian connection as a threat to their interests. Could be Viridian nobles who don't want closer ties with humans. Could be another alien species entirely that benefits from Earth and Viridian remaining separate." Ian rubbed his face tiredly. "We're working on tracking the source, but these things take time. Time we don't have." The summons came an hour later. Giwoo was called before the Empress in a private audience chamber. No ceremony, no formal protocols. Nala was already there, standing stiffly to one side. Her skin showed colors Jiwoo had learned to dread. Dark purples of betrayal. Sharp reds of anger. And underneath, the muted grays of someone whose hope was dying. The Empress did not waste time on pleasantries. "Hanjiwoo, explain these records." "They are fabricated, Your Majesty. I never received any payments. I never had those conversations. Someone is trying to sabotage the alliance. Of course you would say that." The voice came from the other side of the room. A Viridian woman stepped forward, her skin showing the confident purples of nobility. Lady Sora Jiwoo had met her briefly at court events. She was influential among the conservative faction of Viridian society. "Your Majesty, I have additional evidence," Sora continued. Testimony from staff at the Earth Embassy who witnessed meetings between Hanju and corporate representatives. Communications logs showing encrypted transmissions between Earth and known business interests. This human came to our world not as a friend, but as a spy. He used your daughter's vulnerability to gain access to our royal house. Nala's colors flashed with pain so intense that Jiwoo felt it like a physical blow. She looked at him, and for the first time since they had met, her eyes held doubt. "Nala, you know me," Jiwoo said desperately. "You've seen my truth. You know I'm not lying. Thought I knew?" Nala whispered. Her skin was cycling through colors too fast to read. "But I have been wrong about so many things in my life. Perhaps I was wrong about you too." The Empress raised her hand, calling for silence. "Hanjuwu, the evidence against you is substantial. However, I am not without mercy. Withdraw from the selection voluntarily. Return to Earth. No charges will be filed, no formal accusations made. The incident will be quietly forgotten, and Earth's reputation will remain intact. And if I don't withdraw, then I will convene a formal tribunal to investigate these charges. The process will be public. Every detail will be broadcast across the galaxy. Even if you are eventually found innocent, the damage to Earth's standing will be severe." The Empress's expression softened slightly. "I am giving you an escape, human. For your sake and your world's sake, take it." Jiwoo looked at Nala. She would not meet his eyes. Her colors had settled into solid gray, the color of someone who had given up. He thought about the past 6 weeks, about the trials they had passed, about the connection they had built. He thought about walking away and letting her believe he had betrayed her. "No," he said, "I won't withdraw. I'm innocent, and I'm going to prove it." The tribunal was set for the following day, the same day that should have been the trial of forever. News of the accusations spread quickly. The galactic media networks erupted with speculation. Some outlets praised the Empress for her vigilance. Others called the accusations a plot by xenophobic elements to prevent human Viridian unity. Earth's government issued careful statements supporting Jiwoo. While distancing themselves from any potential wrongdoing, Jiwoo spent that night alone, reviewing the false evidence, trying to find flaws he could exploit. But whoever had created the fabrication had been thorough. Every detail checked out. The financial transfers used real account numbers. The communications referenced actual events. It was perfect enough to be damning. A knock on his door came near midnight. Jiwoo opened it to find Prince Minho, Nala's younger brother. The prince's skin showed troubled blues mixed with determined reds. "May I enter?" Jiwoo stepped aside. Minho walked in, looking around the quarters carefully before speaking. "My sister believes you betrayed her. My mother believes you used us. Lady Sora believes you are a spy. But I have been watching you for 6 weeks, Han Jiwoo. I saw you in the trials. I saw how you looked at my sister, and I do not believe you are capable of this deception." "Thank you," Jiwoo said quietly. "But belief won't be enough in a tribunal. No, we need proof." Minho pulled out his own datapad. "I have been investigating Lady Sora. She has opposed the alliance from the beginning. 3 days ago, large sums of money moved through her accounts. Money that came from an Earth-based shell corporation." Jiwoo's attention sharpened. "You think she's behind the fabrication?" "I think she is part of it. But she's not working alone. Someone on Earth helped her create these documents. Someone who had access to real account numbers and internal information." Minho hesitated. "Someone in your own delegation." The words hit Jiwoo like a physical blow. A traitor among the Earth's representatives. Someone who wanted the alliance to fail badly enough. To destroy his reputation and Nala's trust, they worked through the night. Minho, providing Viridian resources while Jiwoo used his knowledge of Earth systems. Slowly, a picture emerged. Financial trails that connected Lady Sora to a business group on Earth that opposed Viridian competition. Communications that showed coordination between Viridian conservatives and Earth protectionists. And at the center of it all, careful manipulation designed to destroy the alliance by destroying the marriage. Just before dawn, they found the final piece. A message sent from the Earth's embassy's secure system, originating from Ambassador Daeon's terminal. Jiwoo stared at it, not wanting to believe. His mentor. The man who had trained him, guided him, been like a second father. "No," Jiwoo said. "Daeon warned me about the evidence." "He's been helping investigate, has he?" Minho asked quietly. "Or has he been controlling the investigation, making sure it goes nowhere?" Jiwoo thought back to every conversation with Daeon since the accusations emerged. His mentor had been supportive, but always pushing him to withdraw. Calling the evidence overwhelming, suggesting that fighting would only make things worse. Giving him an easy way out, because Daeon wanted him to quit. Wanted the alliance to fail. But why? They found the answer in older communications, buried deep in archived files. Daeon had been secretly negotiating with other alien species for years. Holding relationships that benefited him personally, but kept Earth isolated from major powers like the Viridians. A strong Earth-Viridian alliance would diminish his importance and end his private arrangements. He had sabotaged his own protege to protect his position. The tribunal convened at noon. The Grand Court was filled with nobles, diplomats, and media representatives from across the galaxy. Jiwoo stood in the center, alone. Nala sat with her family, her skin still showing that awful gray. She would not look at him. Lady Sora presented the evidence against Jiwoo with practiced precision. Every point was methodical, every document seemingly authentic. The tribunal judges listened carefully, their expressions neutral. But their skin colors, suggesting they found the case convincing. Then it was Jiwoo's turn to defend himself. He stood and addressed the court. "Everything Lady Sora has shown you is false. It was fabricated by a conspiracy that includes both Viridian and Earth elements. People who fear change and cooperation more than they value truth. That is a serious accusation," the head judge said. "Can you prove it?" "Yes." Jiwoo pulled up the files that he and Minho had compiled through the night. These financial records show payments from Lady Sora to an Earth corporation known for opposing alien trade agreements. These communications show coordination between Lady Sora and individuals in the Earth Embassy. And this final message was sent from Ambassador Daeon's personal terminal, instructing the corporation how to fabricate the false evidence against me. The court erupted in noise. Lady Sora's skin flashed with colors of shock and anger. In the Earth section, Daeon stood abruptly, his face pale. "This is preposterous," Sora declared. "These documents are obviously fabricated, just like he claims ours were." "Then let us verify them," Minho said, standing from his place near the throne. "I support Han Ji-woo's evidence. I helped gather it. I stake my honor on its authenticity." The Empress studied her son for a long moment, then nodded to the tribunal judges. "Verify everything. All evidence from both sides. We will know the truth." The verification took hours. Technical experts analyzed the documents, traced the financial transfers, examined the communications protocols. Slowly, the truth emerged. The evidence against Ji-woo was fabricated. The evidence Ji-woo presented was real. Lady Sora had conspired with Earth business interests and with Ambassador Daeun to destroy the alliance. When the final verdict was announced, Lady Sora was taken into custody. Daeon's diplomatic immunity was revoked by Earth's government, who were horrified by his actions. The conspiracy had failed, but Ji-woo felt no satisfaction. He looked at Nala, who sat motionless in her seat. Her skin still showed gray, though lighter now. She had watched the entire proceedings without speaking, without reacting visibly. When the tribunal dismissed, she rose and walked toward the exit without glancing his direction. Gi-woo caught up with her in a side corridor, empty of others. "Nala, please? Talk to me." She stopped, but did not turn around. "You were proven innocent. That's not what I care about right now. I care that you believed I betrayed you." Now she did turn, and her colors finally broke free of the gray. Reds of anger, blues of sadness, and purples of shame all mixed together. "Of course I believed it. For my entire life, I have been told I am worthless, that no one would choose me unless they wanted something else. When that evidence appeared, it confirmed everything I had always believed about myself. That I was not chosen for me, but for what I could provide. Why? And now that you know the truth?" "Now I know I am a coward," Nala said, her colors deepening with self-directed anger. "You stood before the tribunal alone, defending yourself against impossible accusations. I should have stood with you. I should have believed in you the way you believed in me. Instead, I gave up, just like I always do." Gu stepped closer. "You're not a coward. You're someone who's been hurt so many times that protecting yourself became instinct. I understand that. Do you forgive me?" "There's nothing to forgive. You doubted because you're cautious. I chose you because you're real. That means accepting all of you, including the parts that are afraid." Nala's colors shifted. The grays faded, replaced by pinks and golds. Hope returning once more. "The trial of forever is tomorrow. If you still want to proceed?" "I do," Gu said. "Do you?" Her skin blazed with color, bright enough to light the corridor. Yes. The Grand Court had never been so full. Every seat was occupied, every balcony packed with observers. Representatives from all 47 species of the Galactic Council had come to witness the trial of forever. The conspiracy had made this more than just a marriage ceremony. It had become a test of whether different species could truly unite. Despite those who wanted to keep them apart, Ji-woo stood in the center of the court, dressed in formal clothes that blended human and Viridian styles. His heart pounded. The trial of forever was simple in structure, but terrifying in execution. Each partner would speak before their people, explaining why they chose the other. The words would be broadcast across the galaxy. They would become permanent record. And they had to be completely honest, because after 7 trials together, both partners would know if the other was lying. Nala stood on the opposite side of the court, wearing traditional Viridian robes that left her arms and neck exposed, so her skin colors would be clearly visible. She looked terrified. Her skin flickered with rapid color changes that betrayed her anxiety. But she also looked determined. The Empress rose from her throne. The entire court fell silent. We gather to witness the trial of forever, the final test of unity between Han Ji-woo of Earth and Nala of House Viridian. 7 trials they have passed. This 8th trial will determine if their union stands or falls. There is no judge in this trial. The partners judge each other. The universe bears witness. She gestured to Jiwoo. Han, Jiwoo, speak your truth. Jiwoo took a breath and began. When I first came to the Galactic Council Summit, I was overwhelmed. 47 species, each one stranger than the last. I had been taught that humanity's place in the galaxy was to be careful, to be diplomatic, to never offend, to watch and learn before acting. But then I saw Nala standing alone in a crowd, and something in me refused to be careful anymore. He looked directly at her. Her skin was showing soft blues now, the colors of attention and emotion. I saw someone whose emotions were visible to everyone, and I thought about how much energy humans spend hiding what we feel. How many conversations happen on Earth where everyone pretends to be fine when they are not? How much we lie to each other with smiles and polite words. And here was someone who could not lie that way, and her people called it a defect. Jiwoo's voice grew stronger. I chose Nala because she represents something humanity values deeply, even though we are not always good at practicing it. Honesty, authenticity, the courage to be seen as you truly are. I chose her because in a galaxy full of beings hiding behind diplomatic masks, she was the only one I met who could not hide. And instead of seeing that as weakness, I saw it as the bravest thing imaginable. The court was absolutely silent. Jiwoo continued. These past weeks have been the hardest of my life. Learning a new culture, facing trials designed for people nothing like me, surviving a conspiracy that tried to destroy us. But they have also been the best weeks of my life. Because I got to know Nala, not the princess, not the defective daughter, not the political tool. Just Nala, and she is kind and funny and smarter than anyone gives her credit for. She is patient with my mistakes and generous with her knowledge. She sees beauty in things others overlook. She has taught me that emotions are not weakness but data, information that helps us understand ourselves and each other better. He paused, gathering his thoughts for what he needed to say next. Earth is not perfect. Humans are not perfect. We have done terrible things to each other and to other species. We are young in the galaxy and ignorant about so much. But we have one gift that I think is valuable. We believe that every person, every being, has worth just because they exist. Not because they are useful, not because they are powerful, but simply because they are. We believe that the most broken things can be mended, that the most lost can be found, and that no one is beyond love. Jiwoo's eyes never left Nala's. I choose Nala because she deserves to be chosen. Not because of what she can give me or Earth. Not because of political alliances or trade agreements. But because she is a person worthy of love, and I want to spend my life proving that to her until she believes it herself. That is my truth. That is why I stand here, ready to bind my life to hers. When he finished, the silence stretched for several heartbeats. Then the Empress nodded. Nala, of House Viridian, speak your truth. Nala walked to the center of the court, stopping a few feet from Jiwoo. Her skin was cycling through colors rapidly, but not from lack of control. She was letting every emotion show, deliberately displaying the honesty Jiwoo had praised. I have spent my entire life believing I was broken, she began, her voice soft but clear. From the time I was young, my skin betrayed my feelings. While my siblings learned to control their colors, to show only what was appropriate, I could not. Every sadness, every fear, every joy painted itself across my skin for all to see. I was a scandal, an embarrassment. My mother hid me from important visitors. My siblings avoided being seen with me. Aren't it that I was worth less than others, that I was defective, that I would never be chosen by anyone unless they had no other option? Her colors shifted to darker blues, the deep sadness of old wounds. When Han Jiwoo chose me at the selection ceremony, I thought it was a joke, or a political strategy I could not understand. No one had ever chosen me for myself. Why would he? He barely knew me. We had spoken once, for less than an hour. It seemed impossible that one conversation could matter that much. Nala's skin began to brighten, pinks and golds emerging through the blues. But then came the trials. And with each trial, I learned something new about this human who had disrupted my entire world. I learned that he meant what he said, that his words matched his actions, that when he said he valued honesty, he demonstrated it by being vulnerable himself, that when he said emotions were not weakness, he showed his own emotions without shame. She took a step closer to Jiwoo. In the trial of truth, he admitted he was terrified. In the trial of sacrifice, he gave up his right to return home. In the trial of darkness, he trusted that we could find each other without any senses but our understanding of who we are. And yesterday, when false evidence said he had betrayed me, he stood alone before the tribunal and fought for truth when it would have been easier to run away. Nala's colors were brilliant now, showing emotions she had never displayed so publicly before. I choose Han Ju-woo because he chose me when he had every reason not to. Because he sees my visible emotions not as a defect but as a gift. Because he comes from a species that values the worth of every individual. He has treated me like I have worth even when I could not see it myself. Because he is brave enough to love someone who has forgotten how to believe in love. Her voice grew stronger, more confident. But more than all of that, I choose him because I have come to know him, and what I have learned makes me want to know more. He makes me laugh with his confusion about Viridian customs. He makes me think with his questions about why things are the way they are. He makes me feel safe enough to show every emotion without fear of judgment. With him, my uncontrolled colors are not a curse. They are a language he is learning to read, and he finds beauty in every word. Nala reached out and took Jiwoo's hand. Her skin pulsed with color at the touch, and she did not try to hide it. I was taught that I would never be chosen. Han Jiwoo taught me that the right person would not just choose me, they would celebrate me. That is my truth. That is why I stand here, ready to bind my life to his. The moment hung suspended. Then, from somewhere in the crowd, someone began to hum. The sound was picked up by others, growing into a harmony that filled the court. It was the Viridian way of showing approval, of celebrating truth spoken with full heart. The Empress stood. Her skin, for the first time that Jiwoo had ever seen, showed colors beyond pale blue. Soft pinks appeared at her throat, the Viridian sign of parental pride. The trial of forever is complete. By the ancient laws of our people, and witnessed by the galaxy, I declare Hanju of Earth and Nala of House Viridian to be bound in life partnership. Their union creates alliance between their peoples. Their truth becomes example for others. The court erupted in celebration. But Jiwoo and Nala stood in the center, aware only of each other. Her skin blazed with colors so bright they cast rainbows on the crystal floor. He pulled her close, and she came willingly, her head resting against his chest, where she could feel his heartbeat. "No more trials," Jiwoo said softly. "No more trials," Nala agreed. "Just life." 1 year later, Jiwoo stood in the Earth delegation's new building on the Viridian homeworld. The structure was designed to serve as both embassy and cultural center, a place where humans and Viridians could learn about each other. It had taken months to plan and build, but now it was ready for its opening ceremony. Nala entered his office, her skin showing the calm blues and happy pinks that had become her normal expression. In the years since their marriage, much had changed. She had not reclaimed her royal title. She had found new purpose as an advocate for emotional authenticity in Viridian culture. Young Viridians were beginning to embrace visible emotions, seeing them not as weakness, but as honesty. It was a small revolution, but it was growing. "Are you ready?" she asked. "Almost." Just reviewing the speech one more time. They would be presenting a proposal to the Galactic Council today. The Empathy Accords, they called it. A framework for interspecies cooperation that valued emotional intelligence alongside technological advancement. Treaties that recognized the importance of genuine connection, not just strategic advantage. It was ambitious, maybe too ambitious, but it felt right. Nala read over his shoulder, her colors shifting through thoughtful greens. "You should add something about how empathy is not weakness. Many species still believe that emotional awareness makes you vulnerable." "Does it?" Gu asked. Maybe Nala admitted. "But vulnerability is not the same as weakness. Being vulnerable means being open to hurt, yes. But it also means being open to connection, to growth, to change. I was invulnerable for most of my life, protected by the belief that I had no worth to lose. That was not strength. That was survival. Actual strength came when I let myself be vulnerable enough to believe I could be loved. Giwu added her words to the speech, knowing they were better than anything he had written himself. Together, they finished the preparations. Then they walked to the transport that would take them to the council chambers. As they traveled, Jiwoo thought about the journey that had brought them here. A chance conversation at a diplomatic summit, a choice that had shocked the galaxy, 7 trials that had tested them in every way, a conspiracy that had nearly destroyed them, and through it all, a simple, persistent belief that choosing to love someone was never a mistake. The council chambers were full when they arrived. Jiwoo and Nala walked to the speaker's platform together, presenting themselves not as separate individuals, but as a unified partnership. Nala's skin displayed her emotions openly, and instead of being a source of shame, it had become her trademark. People across the galaxy recognized her as the princess who had revolutionized what it meant to be authentic. Giwu began the presentation. He spoke about how Earth and Viridian had built an alliance, not through calculated political strategy, but through genuine relationship. How that alliance had proven stronger than traditional treaties, because it was based on mutual understanding and respect rather than just shared interests. Nala continued, explaining how emotional honesty had changed Viridian culture, how young people were learning that showing feelings was not weakness, but communication. How the ability to read emotions quickly and accurately was proving valuable in negotiations, in crisis response, in building trust between species together. They presented the Empathy Accords, a framework that would train diplomats in emotional intelligence. Treaties that included provisions for cultural exchange and genuine relationship building. Systems for resolving conflicts that prioritized understanding over power. The presentation ended. Questions came from the delegates, some supportive, others skeptical. Jiwoo and Nala answered them together, their different perspectives complementing each other. The vote would come later, but they could already see that some minds were changing that evening. They returned to their quarters in the palace. Despite having their own residence now, they maintained rooms in the royal palace 4 times when duty required their presence at court. Nala's mother had insisted. And it was one of the few ways the Empress showed affection for her daughter. They stood together in the garden that connected their rooms. The same garden where they had prepared for the trials a year ago. The crystal flowers glowed softly in the darkness, creating islands of light. Do you ever regret it? Nala asked suddenly. Choosing me? Staying here instead of returning to Earth? Building this life instead of the diplomatic career you could have had? Giwu pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her. Her skin glowed brighter at his touch, displaying the affection and contentment she no longer tried to hide. Every morning I wake up next to you, I make the choice again. And it gets easier every time. Not because I have to choose you, but because I want to. Nala's colors shifted through every shade of joy, creating patterns that no Viridian could have controlled deliberately. But she was not trying to control them. She was letting Jiwoo see exactly how happy she was, trusting that he would understand the language of her skin. The galaxy is changing, she said. Because you chose to be honest about what you valued instead of what was practical. We are changing it, Jiwoo corrected. Together, above them, stars filled the sky. Somewhere out there were 47 different species, each one trying to find their place in the complicated dance of galactic civilization. Some would embrace the Empathy Accords. Others would reject them. But the conversation had started, and that mattered, in a galaxy that often valued power over connection, strength over vulnerability, and practical gain over genuine relationship. 2 beings from different worlds had proven that another way was possible. Not because they were perfect, but because they were honest. Not because it was easy, but because it was right. And in the end, that was the most human thing of all. The stubborn belief that love was worth choosing, even when all